guys, so it's a new year, and of course I got another Comics Weekly wrap-up to share with you guys. I have a feeling this is going to be a good year for my channel. The first book I read for this week was Avengers The Initiative, Volume 1, and this one's called Disassembled. This takes place shortly after the events of the Civil War, and it has to do with the Skrull invasion. I thought it was kind of interesting, and I do have to say that this is an absolutely beautiful cover. It's one of the first Avengers covers I've seen that was this beautiful. It's really, really good looking. But this one kind of has, like, you know, some political stuff going on with it, with the Avengers and this group called the Initiative being run by Norman Osborn. I thought it was kind of interesting, and this is the old Marvel that I'm used to before they got bought out by Disney. So I did enjoy this. It's worth picking up. I did only rate this one 3 out of 5 stars. It was okay, but it wasn't that great. Like, it does introduce you to some different, like, you know, criminals, villains who are trying to make themselves into heroes. After that, I read this one, Summer, and this is another book. See, it's got some awards, it's got some medals, like the Caldecott medal, and I do have to wonder why, what is with the hype with this book? Because, yes, it does have beautiful artwork. I will give it that. It does have beautiful artwork, but it was just so blah. There's no character development. It just takes place at a lake, these girls' summer vacation, these 2 teen girls. There's no real plot. There's nothing really going on, and they do mention a few events, but there's no resolution to any of them. So I just really didn't understand why people were rating this 4 or 5 stars, because it really was not that great. I know that there are some books that, you know, seem to always take place in the United States, and I know that there are some booktubers who, they're like, when a book takes place in Canada, they think it's the greatest thing. Great artwork, and the fact that it takes place in Canada does not warrant this a 5-star book. Honestly, it's pretty terrible. I only rated this one 2 out of 5 stars. It's just, it's not that great, guys. I don't get it. I don't get why this book was so overly hyped. It wasn't great at all. I don't even know why it's got, like, the Caldecott either. After that, I read Wonder Woman, The Circle. This is pre-New 52 Wonder Woman, so I haven't read too many of those, but I know it's written by Gail Simone. I guess she's pretty good. But this was just so all over the place. It has to do with Wonder Woman, and she's fighting Nazis, then she's fighting a Green Lantern Corps member. To sum it all up, guys, plus the artwork looked kind of funky too. Like, they look like dwarves at some points because they have short, stubby legs, and I just wasn't feeling this one either, and I only rated this one 2 out of 5 stars. Okay, up next we have Hulk Fall of the Hulks. I think this is volume 5, but I don't know, and I won't know until I upload it. Well, anyways, this continues on, and it's got the Red Hulk in it, and of course the Red Hulk is working with Banner for some reason. They still have yet to reveal who the Red Hulk is in this volume. And most of the events in this were just kind of, I didn't really, like, find this as enjoyable as some of the other Hulk books until I got to, like, the very end. And then all of a sudden, all these different heroes turned into different versions of Hulks. And then I was like, yeah, that's fucking super cool. But then it was, like, the end of the story, and I was like, really? That's it? So I only rated this 3 out of 5 stars, and I only rated it 3 out of 5 stars just because of the cool Hulks at the end. Aside from that, it was pretty fucking boring until I got to that part. After that, I read Avengers X Sanction. Now, this one features Cable and the Avengers, and of course the Red Hulk is one of the Avengers, which I don't know when the Red Hulk became an Avenger. But this takes place between the Messiah Complex and A versus X. It's kind of like a story that leads into A versus X, because Cable comes from the future and he's like, we need to take care of the Avengers because they're going to try and kill Hope Summers. and Hope Summers is like the savior of all mutants. So this was a really very fast-paced book. It had a lot of action in it, and it just didn't have much substance. I could see how this would lead into A versus X, but like I said, it just didn't have much substance, so I only rated this one 3 out of 5 stars too. It was really super thin, and it just, like I said, didn't have much going for it. After that, I read Catwoman When in Rome. This was a story that started out really, really slow. Catwoman decides to take a trip to Rome. She's trying to discover her past and who her family is. And she's teamed up with the Riddler for some reason. He's there, and I won't say any more about that situation because if I do, then it'll spoil the ending. And the ending of this book is what made this like a 4-star rating for me. I originally was only going to rate this 3 out of 5 stars until I got to the end and I was like, yeah, that was like a super good story. You could really see that she's really kind of obsessed with Batman and Bruce Wayne. I thought that was kind of interesting. And like I said, I did rate this 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. Okay, up next we have Superman Batman, and this one is entitled Supergirl. This is Volume 2. This is a pre-New 52 version of Superman Batman, which I am only familiar with the New 52 Superman Batman, and I really like that series. So it was kind of interesting to see what came before the New 52, and I guess this was where Supergirl like kind of debuted. So it was kind of cool to see, you know, how like before the New 52 what her debut was like, and they had a confrontation with Darkseid on the Apocalypse planet. It was kind of interesting, but I mean it wasn't like great. It was just okay. I did rate this only 3 out of 5 stars. It was kind of neat to see some things that I have seen in the New 52 series, like the wall that's out in outer space that was from the first Lantern. I think they call it the Outer Wall or whatever, but it was kind of neat to see that in here, and I thought it was a new concept in the New 52, but come to find out it wasn't. It was an old concept. After that, I picked up Superman Batman Absolute Power, and this is Volume 3. This one proposed the idea of what would the world be like if Superman and Batman were pulled out of the time stream and raised someplace else in some other way. And these people also went about trying to get rid of the other Justice League members. And it was kind of like Injustice because Superman and Batman were like villains, and it was kind of neat to see these other like interpretations of the timeline. But like I said about the prior volume, it was just not that great. It was okay. I also rated this one 3 out of 5 stars too. It was still good to see, and you know, for that reason. After that, I read Underwater Welder by Jeff Lemire. This was one, I mean, Jeff Lemire has his unique style of drawing, and of course this is all in black and white. I really cannot get into black and white. I kind of need some color with my comic books. But this one, it was really starting to get to me. I mean, it's minimal dialogue, which I do appreciate, and it was a little weird, a little creepy, but it kind of picked up, like, after the middle of the book, and it started to get even more weird and more strange, but near the very end, it all made sense. And I was thinking at first I was only going to think this was a 3-star book, but when it got to the end and it all kind of wrapped itself up and made sense, I thought that this was a 4-star book. It was pretty cool, and I think the guy who wrote the intro said something about, like, being like the Twilight Zone, so it was definitely like that. If you have yet to check out the Underwater Welder, definitely check this one out. It was pretty good. It was worth the read. Okay, so now it's time for the final book of this weekly wrap-up, and that is going to be Justice League of America, Volume 2, Survivors of Evil. This is where all the events of the Crime Syndicate storyline are kind of like fills in the missing pieces. And I am so appreciative of that because that storyline was so spread out into different books, and different books told a different side to each part of that story, and I loved that story. I loved the whole idea of the crime syndicate. Now, the crime syndicate, the whole faction of them is only briefly seen in like 1 or 2 pages of this. But this book does explain what happened to the Justice League. And I don't mean the Justice League of America. I mean the full-on Justice League, the one that consists of Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and Green Lantern. You know, all those guys. So this one kind of explains where they went to, like why they were missing in action during the beginning of this whole event. And supposedly Stargirl, who is like a C-list hero from the Justice League of America, is responsible for helping fix things. I'm not going to say anything more than that because I really don't want to spoil it for you. But there is a villain named Despero who is in this, and Despero, I guess, has the ability to warp the reality of his victims. So it kind of like, I wasn't sure what was going on, because if this dude can alter reality, and he did it many times in this book, it was kind of hard to keep track of what exactly was going on. So with that being said, that's why I decided to give this a 3 out of 5 star rating, just because it was so confusing. When you let a villain who has that sort of ability kind of like alter the hero's sense of reality, it also makes it kind of confusing for your reader. So when it's constantly changing, I just felt that it was good. I enjoyed that it kind of covered up what happened. You know, it went over what happened with the Justice League. I like that it tells you what happened to them. But the fact that it was kind of confusing with the Despero villain, I don't know. Well, anyways, that is my latest Comics Weekly wrap-up. It's the first one of the year 2016. And if you are not already a subscriber, please hit the subscribe button down below so that way I can expose you guys to new awesome comics every week. I kind of think of these wrap-ups as being like book hauls for comic books and graphic novels, because I'm not going into a full-on review of each book. They're like short mini reviews, and you guys are seeing, like, for the first time, these books, so it's like a book haul. So, yeah, if you like the video, like it, share it with your friends, and thank you for watching.